Hello, everybody. This week's Parsha tells us about the boundaries of Eretz Yisrael, amongst other things. The Torah tells us, informs us in chapter 34, first verse. The Be'er Hashem Moshe Lemor, God spoke to Moses, saying, Sav et b'nei Yisrael v'amat alehem atem ba'im el Eretz Canaan. You are coming into the land of Eretz Yisrael. And it goes on to teach us about the borders of the land of Eretz Yisrael. Now Rashi questions why over here are we informed about the borders of Eretz Yisrael, and he goes on to tell us that there are mitzvot that are dependent upon the land of Eretz Yisrael. So if you're inside the borders of Eretz Yisrael, you know that you can fulfill these mitzvot. If you're standing 2 or 3 meters outside the borders of Eretz Yisrael, you cannot fulfill those particular mitzvot. So you have to know, now that you are coming into the land of Eretz Yisrael, we have to know exactly where these mitzvot will take place. Even more than this, Nachmanides, the Rambam, points out that in fact, not only the mitzvot that are dependent upon the land of Eretz Yisrael are fulfilled here, obviously, but all the mitzvot, even those that are not dependent upon the land, mitzvot were given to the Jewish people to be fulfilled only in the land of Eretz Yisrael, and not outside of it. So says the Rambam. And so we do obviously keep those commandments. People keep the commandments outside the land of Eretz Yisrael. We know that. We do know that. People in Lakewood, very, very strict about their mitzvot. In Muncie, But there it's only a practice run for the real thing. So we're over here, we come to a concept of space. Place. If you're in the place, the commandments take part. And if you're outside of this space, the commandments do not take part. Similarly, we have a concept of Shabbos. Shabbos is a concept of time-related mitzvot. For instance, cooking is forbidden on Shabbos, but if 5 minutes before Shabbos, if you're still cooking, you're okay. There's no problem with that. There's no prohibition. But 5 minutes later into Shabbos, then you have a prohibition, and that's forbidden. So you have a concept over here of space, and you have a concept over here of time. Similarly, we know about the Temple Mount. The Mishnah tells us 10 levels of holiness entered into the land of Eretz Yisrael. 9 were taken by the Temple Mount. I mean, it's unbelievable. We don't see it today. It's very hard to feel it. But if a person would be able to connect to the side of the spiritual, it would be unbelievable. He would just be blown away by the amount of spirituality that's still up there today in the Temple Mount. So you see that we have the concept of time, we have the concept of space, all proclaiming over here to the land of Eretz Yisrael, where all of this obviously has to take place. Those who live outside, very sad that they don't have this connection to the land, to the truth, to the original. They're over there by the duplicates. And that's a very sad thing, especially in our day of age, when the gates are open and the Jews are returning to the land. Very important point. And that's why in this week's Parsha, the Torah tells us over here about the commandment to destroy the 7 nations when you come into the land of Eretz Yisrael. Because there also has to be a concept of separation for the Jewish people. Not to learn from their bad deeds, not to be influenced by them. As we know, Jewish people unfortunately like to assimilate wherever they go. We don't need that in the land of Eretz Yisrael. So God tells us over here, Lo techia kol neshama, when it comes to the 7 nations, not to allow any of them to live. They all have to be destroyed, just like the mitzvah of Amalek. You have to kill them all. So too with the 7 nations. Now, when Yeshua first came to the land of Eretz Yisrael, he first gave them options. He first gave them the option. They had 3 choices, whether they wanted to make peace with the Jewish people, to become ger toshav, under certain conditions, that they could live in the land of Eretz Yisrael, or they could pick up and move. As we know, one of the 7 nations actually did that and moved out to Africa. Or they wanted to bear arms and to fight against us, as the other 6 nations did, and they were defeated. Yes, that is true. And so this concept is so important that we find that when Yeshua travels over the Jordan to enter the land of Eretz Yisrael, the first thing he says to them, stop everybody, stop. I have to tell you something very important. Now, what could be so important? You're about to enter the land of Eretz Yisrael. You're in the midst of the Jordan over here. We won't go through the whole big shadu of exactly the great miracle that was taking place over there. But Yeshua says, I have something very important to them. The Jewish people say, what could it possibly be? Is it kashrut? Keeping Sabbath? Tzitzit? Tefillin? Put up a mezuzah when you come into the land? None of those. Oh no, none of those. What Yeshua said to them, know why you are entering the land of Eretz Yisrael. To destroy and to kill the 7 nations. If you do so, mutav, good. And if not, the waters of the Jordan will come and wash you and us away. We will not be able to survive under such harsh conditions. And so we see in this week's Parsha, the concepts of space, time, all proclaiming to the land of Eretz Yisrael, those who are zocheh, who are worthy to actually come and to live here and to fulfill those mitzvot, the real McCoy here in the land. As Moshe was astonished when the 2 tribes of Gad and Reuben came to him and said, we'll stay on the other side of the Jordan. Moshe said to them, what, will your brothers go to war and fight in order to inherit the land of Eretz Yisrael, and you'll sit with your pasturage and your lake woods and your muncies and your barapots, you'll sit by and just... The 2 tribes said, no, we intend to come and to conquer with you. So too, take part. You want to be those who are like the tribes out there who are sitting back? Oh, we have the problems here in Eretz Yisrael. We have to deal with that. We're bringing the redemption. Be part of that team. That's what it's all about. And I'm Levi Chazan from Yerushalayim. Until next week.